But I think we both know what men are like.
That's apple pie and ice cream. Remember the things I said they called him? One day my phone rings, my agent's on the phone. Joe, go over to the studio. There's a new outfit out of New York, Stanley Kubrick. I don't know who the hell he is, and James Harris, Jimmy Harris. Go see him. Fine, sure. Did they request me, or did you submit? He says, no, they requested you. I said, fine. How do you do? My name's Joseph Turkel, Mr. Kubrick. Mr. Jimmy Harris, how are you? Stanley, first thing he ever says, Mr. Turkel, I saw you in Man Crazy. He says, I liked it very much. I like your part very much. I'm doing a picture out here called The Killing. And it's a small part, Mr. Turkel. I hope you don't mind if, to just look at it and let me know if you'd like to do it. I'd appreciate it if you would. Thank you very much, Mr. Kubrick. I said, Mr. Kubrick, and then he stopped me. He says, please, call me Stanley. I'm going to stop right here. All the months that we were together, all the times that we were together, and all the sets, people coming up and being introduced, Mr. Kubrick, please, call me Stanley. He said, call me Stanley more times than Carter's got peanuts. I mean, please call me Stanley. In other words, putting the other fellow at ease, making you feel good. Don't, Stanley, be more convivial. That was rather nice. It's a good quality. I said, Stanley, thank you very much for having me. I'll look the script over. Well, I did. I took it. I read it. I called my agent. I liked it. He made the deal. Deal was made, and I was rehearsing. 2 nights later on a Saturday, never forget it, phone rings. Hello. Hi, Joe. Yes, this is Stanley Kubrick. Hi. He says, would you do me a favor? I said, sure. I said, incidentally, before you ask, I said, I like the script. I like what you've done, the spacing, the timing, the dialogue is beautifully written. It's going to be a fine picture. He says, thank you. Just do me this favor. Pick me up at my hotel and show me Hollywood. I've been here a short time. I'd like to see the strip. I want to go downtown and see Hollywood and Vine. Oh, just take me around. You mind? I said, no, it's all right. Sure. So I hung up the phone. I went to get dressed, picked him up. I think it was at the Chateau Marmont. I picked him up and I said to myself on the way over there, what if he's a little funny? Oh, God, that's all I need. What if he's a little funny? Well, he wasn't. He told me he was married and all of that. And so, okay, picked him up, and I show him, he has Ciro's. He said, oh, that's nice. He has Mocambo. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's dull. Nothing's happening. And I decided to see what this fellow was all about. Where are you from, Stanley? He says, New York. Where about? He said, the Bronx. I said, the Bronx? That's the low-rent neighborhood. He smiled. Where are you from, Joe? I said, Brooklyn. He said, that's the no-rent neighborhood. Oh, gee. And right away I saw he had a sense of humor. And that was great. I said, Stanley, the only good thing about the Bronx is Yankee Stadium. You a Yankee fan? Sure am. Who's your favorite? Joe D. DiMaggio. He said, how can he be your favorite when he's my God? At that moment, we bonded. I mean, it was like that. And I must tell you, let me just hold it a second. Stanley Kubrick, in all the time that I knew him we were together, never smiled with a zest and a gusto and a head thrown back and a big laugh and a button-busting type of laugh. Never. He had a self-conscious way of smiling. In other words, gee, it's pretty funny. And he lowered his head. He always, just imperceptibly lowered his head and smiled. Grinned and giggled and smiled. And I noticed that right away. And I said to myself, well, that's the way he is. What molded him, I have no idea. But he never laughed with a zest and gusto. Anyhow, DiMaggio, yes, wow, great, bing. And the entire evening was spent on their Ciro's. You know, DiMaggio hit 50, 68, and 41. I know that. We were going back and forth with DiMaggio's records and showing him places. And I wasn't 28, 29, upper 20s at the time. He wasn't the same age at the time. We were both teenagers. And we were both having a ball talking about our mutual hero, Joe DiMaggio, and the New York Yankees, and the records. In fact, he told me one record that DiMaggio has that the baseball players might like. DiMaggio hit more home runs than strikeouts in 7 years. That's a record. Now think about the ball players today who strike out 54 times a week. Anyhow, so we had a lovely evening, and we were talking. It was just splendid. Splendid. Ended the night up, had a cup of tea, and he says, "What do you do on Sundays, Joe?" I said, "I play softball on the weekends." He says, "Oh, can I play? I haven't played in weeks. I play a little." "Fine. Do you mind if I bring Jimmy Harris, the producer, down?" "No, come on." They came down to Lafayette Park the next day. I got Stanley a game, put him in right field. And he was a fine ball player except for 4 things. He couldn't run, he couldn't hit, he couldn't field, and he couldn't throw. He was terrible. Jimmy Harris, the producer, on the other hand, was quite good. One inning, he's a ball, comes, I got it. Ball comes down and falls down. So as we changed sides, I passed him. I says, "I saw you butcher that ball. Don't you dare ever mention Joe DiMaggio again." We crossed sides again at the end of the inning. He says, "The picture starts in 2 weeks. You're fired." He had a sense of humor. Delicious. Delicious. Okay. We shot the killing. My part wasn't very big. It was nice. Finished the picture. I thanked him very much, and I approached him to give him a hug. "Thank you, Stanley." And he stopped. He hesitated. He flinched, and he pulled back. I said, "Oh, what did I do?" I shook his hand. I learned later he didn't like outward displays of affection. That was him. That's the way he was. Okay, you have to accept people for the way they are. I thanked him, and then that was it. Left. Then I saw the picture. And I says, "Whoa, what do we have here?" This man's direction was different. This was a force of nature just barely starting to bloom. If you saw the killing, you'll know what I'm talking about. At times he moves time around, the angles. That was called, by Time magazine, one of the best utilizations of the camera since Orson Welles left town. That's pretty high, pretty heavy. I called the studio, called his office, and got the secretaries. Mr. Kubrick and Mr. Harris went back east. I says, "Do me a favor, make sure, congratulate them. I saw the picture, and tell them I wish them well." "Thank you, I will, Mr. Turkel." That was that.